Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom lecha.
Shabbat shalom lecha.
That means Sabbath peace to you all. It is a wonderful thing to be able to eat and be refreshed on this very nice, relaxing Shabbat afternoon, Sabbath afternoon. We realize that we have a number of people who are new here, either new to this way of life or new to the Hebrew family of Charlotte. We welcome you here. All that we're going to be doing is going into the praise of the Creator, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're going to be reading some Psalms, and we're going to be talking about what's going on in the world today. How does that relate to prophecy? With that being said, let us even open up with the Psalm on page 10, and you'll see your order of service, or up here on the screen, called Of Thy Wondrous Works We Will Tell, to introduce the evening service. The heavens declare it, the glory is thine, the earth and its beauty, shows honor divine, our God of creation, of everything. To thee we lift up our voices, sing of the light of As like so many prophets, such as David and Daniel and Solomon, we stand in front of the wall of this place of prayer, but we face east, towards the land of Israel and the city of Zion, Jerusalem. And a reminder that we are one people, and in all of the synagogues and in all of the places of worship, temples, camps, whatever we may call them, that are praising you from time zone to time zone, they're facing that same place, oh Yah, the place where you sent down all of these messages and created the scriptures of Israel. We ask that you would even accept the reading of Psalm 90, which is a prayer of Moshe, Isha Elohim, a man of Elohim, the God of Israel. Even as we have finished the Torah this day, concluding yet another Torah cycle, and beginning next week with the creation of the universe. Please, oh Yah, accept these words on our behalf. Our prayer of Moshe, Moses, the man of God. Yah, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, and forever thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting. Thou art Elohim. Thou turnest man back to dust, and sayest, return, O you children of men, for 1,000 years in thy sight are but like yesterday, when it is past, and like a watch in the night. You engulf them, even though they are like sleepers, and they are like the short-lived grass in the morning. In the morning, it flowers, and then it withers, and by evening, it's withered up and dried. For we are consumed by your anger, and by your wrath we are terrified. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your countenance. For all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years like a story that has been told. The days of our years are 70, or by reason of special strength, 80 years. Yet their pride is but trouble and wretchedness, and is soon cut off, and we fly away. Who knoweth the power of thy anger? Even according to thy fear, so is thy wrath. So teach us to number our days. Teach us to number our days, that we might get a heart of wisdom. Return, O Yah. How long? And relent concerning thy servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we might rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days in which you have afflicted us. In the years which we had seen evil, let your work appear to your servants, and your glory to their children. And let the beauty of Yah, our God, be upon us, and establish the work of our hands. O prosper it, O Yah, the work of our hands. Please establish it. Even in those words, we remember the death of our prophet Moshe, who we said there was no other prophet greater than him. There are many religions that came up after him. They all recognize that he is the greatest among all prophets, regardless of what world, part of the world you belong to. Moses, Moshe, Moises, everyone knows your prophet by his first name. And indeed, he had fulfilled a vision where all nations will learn about him, you, through his words. Please allow us to be good students of that prophet, O Yah, and let us observe and do and keep the laws of Moses according to your will. Blessed be your name, O Yah, now and forevermore. Hallelujah! 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 Yochai! 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 We end our prayers with Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4, which is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one in many Bibles, but we say, Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto. Blessed be the glorious name of his kingdom, Le'olam La'ed, forever and ever. O
Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Eloheinu. O Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Eloheinu Yahuwah
Hallelujah. Please be seated. This time we're going to ask 4 members to be 4 psalms. The 79th Psalm, the 121st Psalm, the 124th Psalm, and the 148th Psalm. And just share something from them, from the people. What's on your heart today? We're going to call Aharon for the 79th Psalm. HaBerakhah. She's in the room. For the 121st Psalm. Bahor Tafritya for the 124th Psalm. And my daughter Naomi for the 148th Psalm. So let's turn to Aharon now. Give him a welcome.
Thanks and praise the Lord in Israel. Thank you for the beautiful few days of feasting and praising and glorifying His name for a beautiful holy season thus far. Thanking Him for His continual protection, guidance, provision. Ask Him if He would even accept this holy season and a holy season of all Israel whoever we're scattered. The 79th Psalm. O Yah, the heathen are coming to thine inheritance. They have defiled thy holy temple. They have made Jerusalem into heaps.
They have given their bodies to thy servants, to be food unto the fowls of the heavens, the flesh of thy holy ones unto the beasts of the earth.
They have shed their blood like water round about Jerusalem, with none to bury them.
We have become a taunt to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us.
How long, O Yah, wilt thou be angry forever? How long will thy jealousy burn like fire?
Pour out thy wrath upon the nations that know thee not, and upon the kingdoms that call not upon thy name.
For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his habitation.
Remember not against us the iniquities of our forefathers. Let thy compassion speedily come to meet us, for we are brought very low.
Help us, O Yah, of our salvation, for the sake of the glory of thy name, and deliver us and forgive our sins for thy name's sake.
Wherefore should the nations say, where is their power? Let the avenging of thy servants' blood that is shed be made known among the nations in our sight.
Let the groaning of the prisoner come before thee. According to the greatness of thy power, set free those that are appointed to death.
And render unto our neighbors sevenfold into their bosom their reproach wherewith they have reproached thee, O Yah.
So we that are thy people in the flock of thy pasture will give thee thanks forever. We will tell of thy praise to all generations. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Once again, I thank you, Most High, for life of each and every one of us, for His continual blessings, for blessing us to have the monies in our pockets, put food on our tables, and enjoy such events like this and these seasons. And if He will remember Israel who are less fortunate, as we stand here and as we enjoy the festivities, we must remember that there are Israelites and there are people out there that are starving for this culture, starving for food. And ask the Most High if He would even remember them in this holy season. I also want to give Uzziah my thanks, even though a lot of events I didn't make, but I heard about them. It's something that's very important that we really observe these days, the full 7 days with various events, and that was admirable to see him doing or spearheading such an event. And I ask the Most High if He would bless the day that soon come, that we all could put aside the other distractions of the jobs and be able to really keep these holy days and this season as He expects.
Amen.
Again, for those who didn't hear earlier, this is of course the festival of booths or huts or tabernacles. Sukkot, Chag HaSukkot in Hebrew. That's why the building is decorated with a lot of vines and things like that. These are the vines of willows and other kinds of trees that you would see in the land of Israel. They go away after the end of this holy season. Tomorrow night and going into Monday until sunset is the 8th day of Solemn Assembly, which is also another holy day. So during that time period, we remember that our ancestors, they dwelled in huts. Nobody disputes that fact, that our ancestors lived in huts. And so that's what this festival celebrates, that's part of our heritage. And so indeed, this is a holy season and a Shabbat, a Sabbath day that falls within it. It's a wonderful time. And in that time, HaBerakhah has been able to come back and join us. So if you could, please read the 121st Psalm for us, please.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Most High for giving me life once again.
Amen.
Making it possible for me to open my eyes and observe another holy season, and also come through another year of life. Thank the Most High for all your lives and to our continued success to build this nation. Psalms 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the mountains, from whence shall my help come.
My help cometh from Yahweh, made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
Behold, he that keepeth Israel doth neither slumber nor sleep.
Jehovah is thy keeper. Jehovah is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night.
Jehovah shall keep thee from all evil. He shall keep thy soul.
Jehovah shall guard thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and forever.
And this is the most appropriate psalm for me for this holy season, because I had some challenges as the season began to approach. Just receiving a promotion, it kind of left me in a place where I didn't know if I would be able to make it. And I really prayed on it. And just like with this morning's Sidra, be strong of good and of good courage. I was strong enough in my mind, strong enough to fight, not fight in so many words, physically fight, but just fight the idea that I didn't have the right to be here.
That's right.
And when I went to my superiors and I said, look, this is my holy season. I need this day, this day, this day. And they were like, but son, I said, well, that I can't help. Because everybody else in here take off when they want to take off. For any reason they want to take off. I'm taking off so I can praise the Most High for giving me this promotion.
That's right.
So thank you, and I'll see you the next day.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's what more courage. The strength to do what's right. May I bless you even stronger in that position, because then when you come back, everybody's scrutinizing and watching you, and that makes, if you're doing what's right, your work is going to be recognized faster than the average Joe. So, told Ariya for being with you on that. It's called Bahur Tahlit Ya, young man. Over here.
I just want to say hallelujah for my life. And all my family. The Song of Ashes of David. If it had not been Yahuwah who was for us, let Israel now say.
If it had not been Yahuwah who was for us, when men rose up against us,
Then they have swallowed us up alive, when their wrath was kindled against us.
then the waters had overwhelmed us, the stream had gone over our soul.
Then the proud waters had gone over our soul.
Blessed be Yahuwah, who has not given us as a prey to their teeth.
Our souls escaped as a bird out of a snare of the fowls. The snare is broken and we are escaped.
Our help is in the name of Yahuwah, who made heaven and earth.
I just want to give thanks to me, my family, for our family, and just give praise to the Almighty. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Not ashamed of it. And now, Naomi, our daughter, 148 Psalm, please.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise ye Jehovah from the heavens, praise him in the heights.
Praise him all his angels, praise him all his hosts.
Praise ye him, sun and moon, praise him all ye stars of light.
Praise him ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that are above the heavens.
Let them praise the name of Jehovah, for he commanded and they were created.
He hath also established them forever and ever. He hath made a decree which shall not be transgressed.
Praise Jehovah from the deep, from the earth, ye dragons and all deeps.
Fire and hail, snow and vapor, stormy wind fulfilling his words.
Mountains and all hills,
Amen.
fruitful trees and all cedars,
Beasts and all cattle, creeping things and winged fowl.
kings of the earth and all people, princes and all judges of the earth.
Both young men and maidens, old men and children.
Let them praise the name of the Lord, for his name alone is excellent. His glory is above the earth and heaven.
And he has lifted up a horn for his people, a praise for all his holy ones, even for the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Hallelujah.
I just want to say thank you, Ho, for bringing me back safely from my trip, being away from home, and I thank you, Ho, for being there for me, and for being with all of you to this day. Thank you, Ho, for everything. Hallelujah.
With that being said, I thank you all who stood up and gave praise in the assembly of the Creator. Let's all rise and sing the song Unity, page 84, a special portion for the afternoon, our speaker. And again, we want to be mindful of all those who are new friends among us. When we say Yah or Yehovah, we are referring to the Hebrew name of God. So we want to use as much as possible, sort of call it the Hebrew family of Charlotte. We want you to be in an environment where, yes, you're going to hear English and things that are familiar, like the Psalms seem familiar, but there are going to be things that are not taught in most places, like Hebrew culture. And that's what we're using. What is the name of the Creator himself? He has a name, you have a name. So we say Yah or Yehovah, which is the fuller name of it. And so we tend not to say God because that's generic. We want to be specific, so we will say Elohim, which means the divine power. And also, again, he has a personal name he's revealed, and that is Yah or Yehovah. Fingers spread, our hand is weak. How to gain the strength to see those that have and make a faith, send that power to
Together.
Let's welcome the leader of our congregation, Zar Aharon ben Levi ben Yisrael. Ben means son of.
Thanks to the Almighty for my life, for all of these wonderful days that He's given us. Have you all been feasting? Staying off the scales? Let's be thankful that we have the ability to break the scales. Shouldn't break them, but it means that we have food. I want to thank the Almighty for all the blessings He's given me and being able to feast these so far 6 days, and all of you, even the opportunity He's given us to enjoy this facility and all the events that have been taking place. I want to give a round of applause to Uzziah and all of the folks that have been working with him. I know I couldn't be here every night, but they were here, and I came a few of those nights, and it was wonderful to see how the families came out, and just the peace and the camaraderie that I saw was really magnificent. Always had food. It was really, really great, and I hope that this will become a standing tradition in this community. Definitely a worthwhile project, even though it made it hard on families because children were getting home late, parents were getting home late, having to get up the next day. I know it wasn't easy, but it's all for the glory of the Creator.
Amen.
Don't forget that. It's not just for our fun and games, it's for the glory of the Most High and fulfilling His commandment that we feast for 7 days. So
Amen.
I'm very thankful that you were able to do that. Okay, so did you all enjoy your lunch break?
Okay.
You won't be seeing one of that length for quite a while, I can assure you. This was your last 2-hour lunch break until next year. Days are getting very short, and we're just putting you on notice. Next week will be a very, very short lunch break. As a matter of fact, we'll be starting our services beginning next week at 11 a.m. So for those of you who are having trouble getting here at 12, you're in big trouble. So we're hoping that you can get to bed earlier. If you're wise, get to bed earlier. That's not the problem. Well, the problem is waking up. Well, we're gonna have to figure it out because service is gonna start at 11 o'clock. That's right. 11 o'clock. There is no E in my 11. 11 o'clock. Service will start. 11. No V. 11. So set your clocks.
Oh man,
It's gonna be Bereshit. You don't want to miss it. And we have a special treat for you next week. It's a little different. Okay? We haven't quite figured it all out yet, but we know it's not what you're gonna expect. Okay? So You don't want to be late. I have a little bit of time left, so we're going to go straight into a question and answer period. These are the rules. Anyone can ask a question. Anyone can answer a question. We only ask that in the event of a controversy, we're not going to go back and forth. We're not going to fuss and fight. We're not going to debate. The final decision will rest up here, not because I or these gentlemen over to my right know more, but because we want to maintain order on the Holy Shabbat day in the house of Yah. That doesn't mean that we can't be wrong. We can always say, oh, we don't know the answer. And we can actually do research and come back if we need to. That doesn't happen very often. That being said, the question and answer period is now open. Anyone can ask a question, anyone can answer a question. Once, twice. Okay, no question and answer period this week. I'm not complaining. This is the first start. All right. Where's Jimmy out here? Who's our other favorite question and answer? Oh, he's not here. Mikael. Yeah. Even if Vishadai must have the flu. Cohen has a question. Cohen Shea. Now watch this. Now everybody's gonna have a question. Get into a few other things today.
Shabbat Shalom Lakem. Shabbat Tov Lakem. I have a question, especially for those Moriyaya, especially just kind of stay tuned to what I'm about to present. We all know that there are some congregations that believe that the Shabbat begins Saturday morning, Shabbat morning. So I want to know, in your opinion, do you think that this particular portion would refute that understanding? Nehemiah 13. The gates. 13, I think 19 was it? We'll read it in English and then Moriyaya. We'll read it in Hebrew, and you can break it down. There's one particular word that I'm asking if you can break it down. Nehemiah 13, 19. Now, of course, we know that here in this community, we don't believe that. We know that traditionally, Shabbat begins Friday evening, correct? Okay. Until Saturday evening. But just perusing the scriptures this week and saw this particular passage. Want me to read it, Zachman? You got it?
I got it.
Okay, Nehemiah 13, 19, it says, Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Shabbat, I commanded that the doors should be shut, and commanded that they should not be opened till after the Shabbat. And some of my servants set I over the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Shabbat day.
Okay, that's good enough. So basically what I'm looking at is when it says in the very beginning, and it came to pass when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the doors should be shut. And I just wanted to know what you thought about that passage in Moriyaya. If you can break down the Hebrew. Okay. You have the Ivri. There's a word. Salu. Okay.
No, this one. Oh. That is a shadow. That's a casting of some sort.
So how would you translate it?
When there was a casting on the gates of Jerusalem before the Shabbat. And there's basically then it's talking about when they close the doors, and then you shall not open it until after the Shabbat.
Correct. Now, my question is this word, why he hashir Salu Shari Yerushalayim. Of course, Hebrew has idiomatic expressions. Am I right? And so a lot of times we use a lot of metaphor in our language. If Because we know that the gates do not become darkened. So what is that actually saying in your opinion? And I want to get Saul's opinion. Torah.
Really, Shabbat Shalom, I'm standing here. So, they're going to say, Saulu, like I said, it's a shadow or a casting. So I would say that it said, Wahika Ashir Saulu Sha'ari. I mean, and it could also mean another word, because tail, there's another word for tail as well, which means to deliver or safety as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, it could mean, and I'm going to say in this passage here, it's going to say, Wahika Shir Saulu Sha'ari Yerushalayim. I'm going to say that there was a casting, obviously mean that it was closed. That the gates were closed and it was closed shut. And then why I say that is going to say, because it should not be open until after the Shabbat.
Okay.
So that is a clear saying that basically the gates were secured, closed shut, and it should not be open until after the Shabbat. That is what that passage there is saying.
Okay.
So I have a different interpretation.
Okay.
You could be right, I mean.
Yes.
I think that what it's saying is, because when, when the sun goes down low in the horizon, that's when it's shining on the gate. And that's going to cast the shadow. Okay. And that's how you know the sun is going down to below to the horizon, because if it's above, it's not really casting a shadow. Right. Anybody knows anything about when we were young, you could see when the sun was low and near the evening, you could see a long shadow. I think that that's what that means. I think it's literal. I think it means that the shadow of the gate was becoming very well pronounced because of the height of the sun. Right. And it was casting a long shadow. Right. And that's letting you know that the sun is about to go down. Right. And that reminds me of my days in the projects. When I was outside and the sun was going down and you could see those long shadows, I can actually see the sun looking towards Eastern Parkway. I mean East New York Avenue, looking toward the precinct. Right. The way we used to, so to me it's literal. Good question.
So I just
go ahead.
So it's safe to say.
It's sundown to sundown.
So in other words, even in the days of Nehemiah, Nehemiah, they were observing the Shabbat from sundown
to sundown. And I mean, our first example is how the earth, the creation,
absolutely.
Bereshit, creation, when it was evening and it was morning, one day.
Right.
So it started in the evening, and morning is just the day. And, so yeah, that was.
Just wanted to add more ammunition.
Yeah, I agree.
These,
it's unfortunate that it's necessary, but I understand.
Got a hand.
Okay. Well, I don't see any more hands because nobody would raise it. Yeah.
But that kind of supports what's being said, because basically, while the Shabbat Salika is going on, you want to secure the gates.
Yes, and that's why they had to close them.
That word, sail, is literally like protection and closure.
Right,
That's what
sure.
it is. Because there were times like in our language, Salika, so Saulu, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing.
Right.
But it's from
a sign.
Specific amount of time.
It was a sign that the Shabbat was coming in. Basically. Okay, I'll see your hand now.
Another thing at the beginning of the chapter, it started off where it spoke on how they were bringing in, they were selling it like it was a marketplace.
Right, they're weird.
In ancient times, did they used to sell during the nighttime? Like, did they open markets in the night?
Even night they did.
As long
as it wasn't on Shabbat.
It wasn't a Shabbat. You could work as late as you wanted. You had light. And you had customers. Some people say they open later than others. If you had a long day and you wasn't selling anything, you didn't stay open. And if you had sold everything, you didn't stay open. So, I mean,
I only ask that because even in Guyana, when I know that, you know, they still have their little hustles and stuff, but the main marketplace, it seems like they're closing by the time sun is going down.
And that's because they don't work long days like that. It's only in America where they try to sell you stuff 24/7. You know, other places, they have their hours and then they close at going down to the sun. Okay. Moray, did you have a point you wanted to make? A minute ago, you were doing something.
Just Shabbat Shalom. What Melek was saying, speaking about Guyana, there's an outside market that never closes. The vendors sleep on their stalls, so when you come, they wake up, sell you, and go back to sleep. So it's never closed. Also, we saw in Egypt, Chaimishi night, because the next day is Juma. So Chaimishi night is like Friday night here. It's like, it was a traffic jam at 12, 1 in the night. It was ridiculous. So they do not sleep. These markets are open, all of that. And I think that's the culture of the land of Israel and Nation Days as well. You just sell. But Shabbat, that was when it was closed.
Yeah, in Juma they start at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Friday. Most of them, but I'm there. So interesting. Any other new questions? All right. Ken, what did I tell you about that?
I know.
Shabbat Shalom.
I was going back and forth with it in my head, trying to figure it out myself. So Eliel this morning spoke about the characteristics that Eliel spoke about the characteristics that a person could reference when they're trying to find their tribe. So I was just playing around with it in my head, and I'm thinking that would just potentially be for a person maybe that's just starting, only because it doesn't really matter about your characteristics too much because you are what your father is anyway, because it doesn't always necessarily follow that. Suppose you're more like your mother, but you're not Naphthalite, but you're more like your mother who was a Levite. So it's really more so for people who are like just looking, or for it wasn't just to describe those men then. Do you understand my question?
I think I do. I would say that back then, you didn't pick a tribe. You were born into a family.
Right.
You know, you were born into a family and that was your tribe. What we're doing now is, this is the return of Israel. And people are trying to make sure that they get designated into the right family or tribe, whatever you want to call it. You only have that pleasure if nobody else in your family has already done it. I don't put too much stock in it in terms of making sure you get it right. Some of us just have the spirit of a Levite and we just know that we want to be Levi. And that might be the same thing for Judites. But I suggest to you that if you go too far with it, it's kind of like, it reminds me of astrology. You know, where people trying to pick, you know, I'm born in this month, so I'm this, I have to have all of these characteristics. That's not true. I think that we all have the characteristics of the people of the other tribes. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, just don't put too much stock in it. Those of us who want to make that choice, we feel very zealous about what we think, where we fit, and they could be exactly right for all we know, or they could be wrong. The thing is that it helps them to give themselves an identity, and I think that helps them to keep this law with more zeal and you know what I'm saying, flavor, because now you can identify with this and say, I got these characteristics. And if anything it's going to do, it's going to make you feel more in tune with the culture and wanting to be, you know, part of it. You know, and if not, you just call yourself Yisrael. You know, and let's keep it simple. You know, and some people are content to do just that, and because they don't know what their tribe is, or they may think that they're a couple of different tribes. They got characteristics for more than one. You know, so yeah, I mean, I don't want to. And you know, it's a great question. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think, you know, I don't want people to think that they have to figure that out and they have to know. I came into this way, my brother was already a Levite, so I'm not going to take a different tribe. We got the same parents, you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't make sense, you know. But I feel that this is the right tribe for me, you know. So that's how it is. Keep it simple, please. move on.
Shabbat Shalom. Another, very much on point. Another thing that's interesting is, I have a number of students who are from India, and they explain, like what we hear as caste, we kind of think of it as class, but they said there's thousands of castes, and then they said, like for example, soldier, or farmer, or this and that, it's like, oh, so it's like a tribe. And that's essentially the idea. It's like, yes, it's basically, for them, what a caste is like a tribe for us. Like, there's an ideal role that you need in society, and there was your ancestors that fulfilled that role. Someone has to be a merchant on the seas, on the high seas. There's going to be someone who's able to do jewelry or whatever. You see that in all of our blessings, right? And that's what would have been like the prestige role of that tribe. But the other part of it is is what tribes are in terms of land. So as we go back to the land of Israel and you're serious about it, then you look at Dan. Dan includes, I think it goes up to Tel Aviv. So it's like you like those areas, or you like obviously Jerusalem, or you like Beersheba. Beersheba is Shimon. So these are places where you think about where your future progeny would like to settle too. Because that's a real consideration. That's a city that you would live in a tribe. Because it's a prophetic thing.
Okay, that's another way to look at it. Amen. Is that it?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shaddai.
The book open.
Giving all praise to Simple Sabbath. Do I have a lot of time, or you have something else to complete?
What's going on?
All right, let's get back to what's going on, because this is part of what's going on. I've been reading in the book of Exodus, dealing with the portion Terumah. I've been reading this portion over 40-something years. It's dealing with the building of the tabernacle. If Zaquin could go into it for me. But to the Kohanim and to you also, the leader of the community, how can we bring this portion up to date? Because this portion is probably over 100,000 years ago. So I would like to understand what can we do about this portion, Terumah.
So my creation or the building of the temple?
Terumah, from the beginning of the portion where it starts, the book of Terumah, and how we can understand this up to date, coming up to date, because the tabernacle was hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Right,
and I'm trying to figure out how we can apply today. Go ahead. From the beginning of the portion.
Let me hear from the Kohanim. I have an answer, but let's talk to Moray.
Can you read it on Zaquin or Bafusha?
And Aharon spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel that they take for me an offering. Of every man whose heart maketh him willing, ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold and silver and brass and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and ram skin dyed red and seal skin and acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate.
Zaquin does not like to stop in the middle of a sentence. Okay? So don't ask him to read something and then try to stop. All right? So you got to give him a shorter sentence if you want him to read. He's doing his job. Okay, Moray, whose hand did I see up over there? Moray.
He wants the mic.
Mic man.
Shabbat Shalom again. When I first came into this way of life, this is one of the portions that surprised me in the way it was explained. Because prior to coming into this way of life, I had read it Tanakh about 3 or 4 times at that time. And, that was one of the boring portions, But then I heard Quinn Mikhail explain it, and it really impressed me, and it gave me a new perspective. Many times, persons that are in this way of life over a number of years, it becomes monotonous, and as you're saying, to bring it up to date. I think I've taught this portion a few times here, or once, and I think I brought it up to date. Probably just the day you were absent. No, but it's a key point. When you look at the scriptures are a foundation. And what we try to do as Mori Kohanim is building that foundation. I would teach the actual happening of the tabernacle, but the last time I taught it, I put it over in the way of, like it being the human being, I said, and you're building from inside out, your heart first, and the principles. I looked at the materials used, the gold, how gold is essential for the body, etc. That's how I did it. So we do, bring it up to date, but never forget the foundation of what it is relating to. You need a foundation. Okay?
Good answer. Another perspective. I would say that in today's day and time, if I were to teach that portion, I would talk about what we as individuals have to offer to the Creator and to the development and the building of whatever temple or whatever place of worship that we observe in. And so, just like we did that classroom, we had a taruma offering for that classroom. People donated chairs, TV, book stand, tables, funds that went into the purchase of the materials that built the actual edifice. Somebody donated the labor for the electricity, to put the floors in. I mean, there were contributions. And those types of contributions are always necessary. They don't stop with the actual edifice. Because we're always trying to build. You can also use it to build relationships. I mean, it's all kind of building that takes place in Israel. It's not just for a time or for a season. It should be a continuous process. We should always be growing. If you own a home, you're always fixing something, or you're buying something, or you're repairing something, or you're changing over, you're getting rid of old furniture, you're putting new furniture. Come on, look at your wardrobe. How many times have you changed over your wardrobe? Are you still wearing the same shoes that you were wearing 20 years ago? And your feet haven't grown. And so, in other words, that the building process never stops. Because there's always something to build. There's always something to develop. And so I would think that it's essential that we think like that. And even with our personal growth, you never stop learning. You never stop building. You can't, I'm 65, did I say that? Doesn't sound right. I'm 65 years old, but yet I'm still learning. Constantly learning. I never stop learning. I never stop wanting to learn. And so, like all of us need to be doing. As long as you're alive, there's a reason to live. You got to make something happen. When you get to the point where you're just waiting to die, that's a problem. Other than that, we should be doing something to develop ourselves, to improve ourselves. That doesn't mean you got to go out and shop and spend money. You just want to do things to, show the Creator and the people around you that you are alive and that you're thriving and that you're a contribution to the community and to the nation and not a hindrance. Because you know what they say, if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Part of the problem. Okay? What's going on? What is going on? What is going on? Y'all know what Donald Trump's been doing? Anybody keeping up with that? You can't keep up with that. It changes every minute. It changes, right. You can't say it changes every day. that would you be leaving out a lot of stuff. You say it changes every day. It changes every minute. And so right now, the Kurds are running. See who the Kurds? The Kurds are a faction of Ishmaelites, I guess you'd call them, or Muslims or whatever how they identify themselves, who are fighting Turkey. Who they're in Syria, but there's no buffer. They've taken a claim in a homeland across the northern border of Syria, which borders on Turkey, and Turkey is feeling kind of uncomfortable. It's just like the Golan Heights in Israel, where the Jordanians have come in there and pushed them down and gotten it on their land and like taken it from them, so they have to move them out. That's what's going on. And of course, I mean, y'all may say, I don't care about that. but the thing is that the United States, this is the sad part, the United States was supporting the Kurds and securing, keeping those ISIS and whoever else is coming out of Turkey from coming down into Syria, and then all of a sudden he walked away and abandoned them after he's been helping them all those years. So can you imagine? That's why you can't put your trust in man, especially in America. Because, you know, there was a time when they were letting y'all in from Guyana and from Mexico and a lot of those southern places. Now, listen, they cutting all of that off. You can't even get it. They changed that. So they moved from, when Obama was in office, immigration was allowing 130,000 in. Trump just moved it down to like 16,000 just last week. I mean, a low number. He's just dropping it, and he's only taking in, I can tell you right now, Europeans. He's not taking in anybody. If you're darker than, who's in here the lightest? You can't get in. All right? Dacia can't get in. Hear me out. You can't get in. What you ready to get for?
Hey, are you able to?
Are you cutting into my what's going on?
No, this is a part of the question.
Okay.
Just in biblical times, that area, are you able to let us know in biblical times who occupied that area that they basically are fighting for right now?
That's about Israel.
It's the Medes.
The Medes.
Kurds would be the Medes.
The Kurds and the Medes, you're right. Kurds, the Medes. Well, we took it from
Like Darius the Mede, like Persia?
Yeah, they're further north from Israel.
Damascus. Who had Damascus? Do we have Damascus?
That's Aram. Syrians are Arameans. That's
all right. Okay.
And then Medes.
Where did our land stop at? South of that.
South of Damascus.
Okay. We just got taken up there in captivity.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. All right, good
But
question.
Solomon took Damascus.
Right.
He had so much wealth and power.
Right.
They were under his control.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's what's going on up there. Now, this Ukraine thing, that's what they're trying to impeach him on now. Because what happened was, just give you a little background. I'm not going to get too deep into it, because just so you understand what's going on. The United States, Ukraine used to be a part of Russia, and then they broke off. So they've become independent, okay? So Ukraine is right to the west of Russia, and they had their independence. So when they got independent, of course, America went in there and started giving them financial aid, military aid, so that they could fight the Russians, because, again, Putin and the Russians, the Soviets, wanted to come back and reclaim that land and that territory and govern it. So, United States was giving them financial military aid to fight them off. So they went in there, the Russians did go in there and do some stuff and kind of took over part of that territory, but the United States was giving them money. Okay, so now, Biden's son was hired by the Ukrainian was a private company that he was hired to be on the board of directors. That's just like, you know, a power move where you get an American in there on the board and that makes it more prestigious, keep their stock up or whatever the case might be, whatever's going on. All right, so he goes over there and he's doing stuff. This is while Joe Biden is vice president. All right, but there was no hanky-panky, no foolishness going on or whatever. But because Donald Trump is such a paranoid soul in his demeanor and his character, he wanted to find out if he could get some dirt on Biden and his son so that it would help him in the election. Because if he could get some, because Biden is like the front runner of the Democratic Party in terms of those that are running, so he wanted to get some dirt on Biden and his son. So what he does is he tells, I mean, Rudy Giuliani is his private lawyer. Why is he involved in domestic and foreign policy? He sends him over there and they try to tell the Ukraine president, listen, well, first of all, let me back up. So last year, the Congress, that includes the House of Representatives and the Senate, they both approved of so many millions of dollars of aid that's supposed to go over into Ukraine, $100 and something million worth of aid to help Ukraine fight the Russians off. So that was done before he became president. So now that the aid, and they give it out in portions, they don't give it all to him, they like, you know, they stagger this installments. So when this installment became due, instead of them just approving it and sending it out, because it's already been approved, Trump says, I'm not giving them the money until they help me get some dirt on Biden. And he is not supposed to use his political power to use against another person in this government, foreign government, to interfere. That's like interfering with the United States elections. So that's impeachable. And that's not even talking about all the crap he did for the last 3 years. That's just added stuff, because Mueller's done. You got to forget about Mueller and all of that, because he got away with that. So now, of course, the Democrats are feeling all powerful now because they think they got something on him. And he admitted, well, his chief of staff just admitted, after he denied it, quid pro quo means this for that.
Right.
I'm giving you this for that. That's what the Latin meaning is. And they said it was no quid pro quo. And then the day later, he comes out and said, of course it's quid pro quo. We all do that. Everybody does that. And then he had to come back that night and say, oh, that's not what I meant. You misunderstood me. Foolishness. You know, I'm just amazed. I'm going to tell you something. He's not going to get put out of office by any of those means. He's got to be voted out of office.
That's right.
And if y'all want to sit around and say you don't want to put a foreigner under you, you're going to put a foreigner under you anyway.
That's right.
And he's going to take your jobs. He's going to, listen, he's cutting back stuff you would not believe. People are not paying attention to this stuff. And I'm telling you, what you don't know can hurt you. What you don't know can hurt you. That's why we talk about this. Just so you will know. And because when stuff starts happening, all of you children that are trying to go to college, they're cutting back on all of that financial aid. They're cutting back on all of that kind of stuff. They're cutting back. They're messing with affirmative action. They're fighting on so many different levels, which means that, first of all, they need to make up for all the stuff they kept from us when we were entitled to it. Now you got a situation with affirmative action where they're saying, okay, if this college has 100 slots of students to come in, they can find 100 Lavans that can fit in there and keep you out because they may have the grades. Your grades may be just below that, but you're still qualified to learn in that institution. That affirmative action says you got to leave 15 slots for African Americans, people, minorities, women, people of color, and you got to save those. So they got to find 15 of us to fill in there in order to make sure that we don't get wiped out totally, because there's so many of them and they're so well educated that they can take up all of those slots. And they're trying to, affirmative action had a hard time getting in, and now they're trying to reverse it so that you cannot get into those colleges. You're going to end up in a community college. If that. Yeah, and HBCUs are not doing so well.
Not doing well at all.
You know, some of them are not even being, making the level of accreditation. They're closing them. They closed the one up in Concord. They closed that school. Exactly. That place is so run down. Listen, Johnson C. Smith is holding on pretty good, but it's grief, man. It's sad. That's the reality of it. Ken, I got some more stuff. Yeah, I see your hand.
I wanted to ask you, you heard about Trump issuing an executive order to prepare for an EMP attack. What is it, and should we worry about it? A couple of years ago, they ordered something from November 4th to the 6th about a major shutdown for that. And then now it's coming back up, it's recirculating, it's all over the news.
Oh yeah, that came up last year. That's really nothing to worry about. It had something to do with the grids and all of that, electricity and all of that. Yeah, it wasn't a big deal. It's something that they do every year, and they made it sound like it was a whole big thing. It wasn't. I don't remember the particulars on it. It happened last year, but I talked about it then, and it's really insignificant. It happens, and then nobody really has to worry about that. Okay. I have a few more things. We got to show some videos. All right. Y'all don't have a problem with that, right? No way. Bring them on. All right. First of all, I want to cover a gentleman that died a couple of days ago, Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings was a congressman, covered the Baltimore area and another area, county in Maryland. And he was powerful. He was only 68. I thought he was older than that. Yeah, he died about 2 days ago. His funeral was next Friday. And he was actually the head of the impeachment proceedings, which is the what's the name of that committee he was on? Oversight Committee. The Oversight Committee oversees what the executive branch is doing. The government, federal, the executive branch is the president and everything that comes under that. Okay? And he was powerful. And he passed away a couple of days ago, and it was sad. He had health issues coming on him, and he passed away. I have a couple of things now. Something I left out when I was up here last and did what's going on. I left out the passing of Diane Carroll. I don't know how many of y'all remember Diane Carroll. She was a beautiful woman.
Okay.
Great actress. I'm sorry, good looks, man, going on.
Dominique Devereaux.
Dominique Devereaux, Julia. She was the first African American to star in a TV series not being a maid or a servant. Right. She was a registered nurse. And she was the star of one of my favorite movies, Claudine. So I want to show them. I want to show them how beautiful this woman was. Her and Lena Horne, couldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. They were so beautiful and sweet and smart and talented. So can we see, I sent you something recently. Did you get it?
Try to load it.
All right, we're going to watch that. I have a couple other things I want to talk to you about. One of them is going to make us all angry. I want to get that one out of the way because I don't want to end on that note.
No.
Yeah, that's it.
It's plugged in. Plug in or turn up the volume for it.
Slowly.
No, the volume for the plug-in.
Oh, man.
Okay?
I don't hear anything.
Oh yeah, they got this stuff. Ready?
Actress Diane Carroll is being remembered for her versatile work on Broadway, television, and as a singer. She died Friday after a long battle with breast cancer. She was 84. Carroll garnered critical acclaim for her pioneering work on television. Diane Carroll changed the course of television history. In 1968, she became the first African-American woman to star as someone other than a domestic worker in the groundbreaking sitcom Julia, a role for which she won a Golden Globe.
I'm Alec.
What color are you?
I'm a Negro.
You always been a Negro, you just trying to be fashionable.
Carroll was a native New Yorker who first made it big on Broadway, breaking barriers on stage as the first black woman to win a Tony Award for Best Leading Actress in a Musical for her role in No Strings.
6 kids and 4 rooms.
She would go on to make it on the big screen. The 1974 film Claudine provided her largest movie role. She played a hard-working single mom of 6 who falls in love with a garbage man played by James Earl Jones. In the 1980s, Carroll joined the long-running primetime soap opera Dynasty as Dominique Devereaux.
I intend to have a memorable stay.
She followed that with a number of guest roles in TV series, including A Different World, for which she received an Emmy nomination. Carroll spoke proudly about her decades-long career.
I'm happy, deliriously so, about having had this career.
And for so many African-American women, I would venture to say all women, she was such a proud woman. And seeing her on Dynasty, whoa, which was already my favorite show.
That's what I was gonna say. For me to see her, I didn't know the background until I watched her on Dynasty, and my mom said, "You need to look back and see this." She's so stunning and stunning.
I thought she did a great job.
You saw her as a role model?
Dominic Devereaux, one of the great
Dynasty, that's a whole other story.
All right, can you get my mic on, please? Shalom. For those of you who are young and say, well, why are we watching that? I just want you all to know, that was what, 50 years ago? Maybe 60 years ago? I don't think it was even that, it was the 60s. Black people were not on TV. Y'all take that for granted. Seeing all of these people on TV and, BET and all the other stuff that y'all see on TV, we were not on TV unless we were playing we were a slave or we were a thug, a murderer. We had to be something totally negative that none of us would want to identify with. Or we had to be somebody's maid or butler. And people like her broke the barriers that allowed for Oprah and all of these other people that we all now take for granted as, oh, well, that so-and-so's on TV. There was a time when we would call each other up. Guess what? There's a colored person on TV. On the Ed Sullivan Show.
Right.
I mean, we only got on TV every now and then, and when we were on TV, everybody in the house was sitting in front of that little black and white TV. I'm telling y'all that because y'all don't realize how far we've come. And the thing is that it took people's lives in order to get recognized in some of these places. People died so that we could go to any college we wanted to go to. People died so that we could go in a hospital. There was a time when you couldn't even go to the hospital. They wouldn't touch a black person. Do you know just 30 years ago, if you came down in the South and jumped in a swimming pool, all the white people would get out and they drain the water? You hear what I'm telling you? It wasn't that long ago. And so this is why I show you these things and we have these conversations, because I want you to realize that a lot of people paved the way for you to be able to do great things. Don't waste your brain and your intelligence and your opportunities on foolishness, because there's so many people that are in graves in order for you to be able to come to the same school as them. You know how many times, you know, when just I'm talking 50 years ago, if black entertainers, I'm talking famous people, came down here and went to a restaurant, they'd have to go in the back entrance to get their food. They could not go in the restaurant. Did you hear what I'm telling you? When's the last time somebody told you you couldn't go into a restaurant or you couldn't stay in a hotel? That happened in my lifetime. When we used to come down here from New York, my father used to drive down. We could only go to certain gas stations that would give us a key into their bathroom. If they had one for colored people. I just want y'all to know, there's a lot of things that's happened in the last 50 years that you need to know about, because hopefully it'll change the way you think and the way you function, because your lives have been immensely, you know, what's the word, enhanced because of things that other people had to go through to break those barriers. And now all y'all have to do is go to school and do the right thing. So it really, really annoys us when you get kicked out of school for misbehaving. You know, or you go to school and you got all of this learning that you can get and you're flunking your classes. Or you finish high school and you don't think that you have a need to go into college because you're just plain old lazy, because you don't want to be sitting down in the classroom. You have the knowledge, you have the intelligence, but you just don't have the willpower. You don't have the willpower. You don't have the self-control and the ambition and motivation to do something, make something out of yourselves. Failure is not an option. Failure is not an option. All right. Okay. And I'm going to give you something inspiring. But first, we're going to talk about this sister. Texas, let's do that one, because I'm going to get that one out of the way. Because y'all see I'm getting a little riled up, right? So let's get that out of the way so I can come back in. Because, you know, it's things like this that make me know that if I lived in the time of civil rights, I would not have lived long. Turn the volume down. Let's get this one going, please. Sorry. We're going to do the one with the woman in Texas.
We're following tragic news out of Fort Worth, Texas. An African-American woman was shot and killed by a white police officer while she was inside her own home. This incident marks the 9th police-involved shooting in Fort Worth just this year alone. CNN's Polo Sandoval is following this story. So, Polo, what happened here?
Fred, police in Fort Worth released police body camera video almost not long after the shooting actually happened. The department said that it is hoping to provide both transparent and relevant information as this investigation runs its course. But you hear from those that are essentially advocating here for the family of the woman who died. They say that that is not enough. They want accountability and eventually even an indictment of the police officer.
We went from a welfare check to a woman being killed by the cops.
Outrage is building over the actions of a Fort Worth, Texas police officer. Saturday morning, just before 2:30 a.m., police were called to the home of 28-year-old Tatiana Jefferson after neighbors noticed her front door was open. Heavily edited body camera video released by Fort Worth police picks up what happens next. After police peer through the front door, they walk the perimeter of the property when suddenly, police say, an officer spots someone standing near a window. Put your hands up! Show me your hands up! The medical examiner identified the woman who the officer shot as Jefferson. She died at the scene. James Smith says he's the concerned caller who first alerted police.
I feel guilty because had I not called before the police department, my neighbor would still be alive today.
In a statement, Fort Worth police said their officer drew his weapon and fired a single shot after, quote, perceiving a threat. In addition to the body camera footage, investigators released this still photo showing a firearm inside the house. CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson cautions not to jump to any conclusions.
You're going to release the fact that she has a gun in the home as perhaps what? To suggest she had a gun and that we were perhaps fearful for our life? There's no indication where that gun was. There's no indication she had that gun. There's no indication that she should not have had the gun.
CNN has requested the unedited body camera footage. A police spokesperson said nothing additional will be released at this time, and that the department, quote, shares the deep concerns of the public and is committed to completing an extremely thorough investigation. Police have not named the officer who joined the department in April of last year. In addition to requesting the unedited body camera video, we have also...
Okay. Get my mic up, please. Let me just say that I sent that out to him immediately after it happened. There's been an update. Number one, they've arrested him for murder. They charged him with murder. They charged him with murder. Good. He resigned the day before they charged him with murder. So, but this is what's important. She was in the house with her nephew. She was babysitting her nephew, and they were playing actually a video game with people going in the house shooting. No lie. So they're playing this game, and all of a sudden they see a flashlight going in and out of the light. You know, if it's dark, you see the light coming in your window. The nephew says she went in her purse and got the gun out because she wants to know who's this coming up on her house. So first of all, the police officer could have done a number of things. That's what he didn't identify himself. He didn't say hello. Is anybody home? Who's in there? Police. You know, he didn't say any of that. So when I don't even know if he saw that gun. Because all he did was see a person when he shined the light on her. Oh, police, well, show your head, bam, bam, bam. He didn't even give her a chance to identify herself. Right. That's why the mayor and the chief of police says there's absolutely, positively no excuse for what happened here. They're not trying to defend him. They're not trying to make excuses. They are upset. Matter of fact, the captain, the commissioner of the police left the podium crying. He had to leave. He couldn't even finish the press conference. He was so upset. So, but the problem is, first of all, the cop he was the oldest cop hired in that class last year. He was 34. They're putting scaredy cats in patrol cars with guns. If you're afraid of black people, you should not be a white cop. Plain and simple. Because you're gonna overreact. If he knew he was in a white neighborhood, listen, I'm sorry. You cannot convince me that if he was in a white neighborhood and he was a white cop, that he would have shot that fast if he'd seen a white face. I don't understand. There's a problem. And they acknowledge it because this is the 9th police killing, and that's Fort Worth, Texas is not that big. How can you kill 9 black people in 10 months? So they know that they have a problem. Now they're bringing in outsiders. Only because this made the news. What happened to the other 8? I didn't know about them. Listen, it's, you know, and some of them can't even help it because they just learn behavior to be afraid and to hate people of color.
I fear for my life.
I'm telling you, he didn't fear for his life. He didn't have enough time. If he feared for his life, he should have stayed in the car and called for backup. Give me a break.
So he just walked into her home?
He didn't walk in, he's outside the house. He's walking around with a flashlight.
She shot him through the window.
And she saw the flashlight from inside, and she's like, who's this coming? Let me get my gun. Who's this coming up? And she went to the window, and before she could do anything or say anything, he said, you saw just how fast that happened. That was not, they didn't speed that up. That's how fast he shot her. They said a half of a second after he said, put your hands up, he shot her. A half a second.
She didn't even have time to react.
Come on, man. Sad. All right, we gotta get past that. She got the WeZot queen go and get a pill.
Want to get a gun.
It's scary. children. This is why we tell our young boys, that was a sister. Imagine what they'll do to a male. And what I want our young men to understand, those of you who are now driving with driver's licenses, there's a lot of trigger-happy police officers out there. If you get pulled over, if it's at night, turn on your interior lights. Try to get your license and registration out before the police officer approaches you. Because usually when they pull up behind you, they're gonna go into the system. They're gonna look up your information, your foot tag. They're gonna call in and let somebody know that they are about to approach a vehicle. In that time frame, you have maybe 30 seconds to a minute to take out your driver's license, your registration, your insurance, turn on your light, and put your hands on the steering wheel and wait for the instructions. Roll your window down, do all of that before the police officer approaches your vehicle. By the time he's coming around, don't be moving around. Oh, I forgot my light. Don't do that. You're going to be dead. I'm telling you this because you're going to end up being a statistic if you get the wrong police officer. You have to be careful because you just don't know. And sometimes they're coming in from that way. It doesn't matter. Now people are taping this stuff, so we're seeing it, how fast it's happening. You're going to get killed driving while being black. Just reminding y'all, be careful. And don't give them no back talk. If they do something wrong, whatever, and if you have somebody on the phone, just leave them on the phone, put the phone on the dash so they can hear the conversation. Don't hold the phone. The phone is going to look like a gun to them. If you have a wallet, if you have a Coca-Cola can in your, it's going to look like a gun. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Okay.
On that same lines, I've been seeing a lot of videos online about what to do when the cop approaches you, and a lot of what you see is almost contrary to what you're saying in a standpoint. How would you address that? Where you got these guys saying like, yo, I ain't gotta roll my window down. I ain't gotta answer your question. And these type of situations.
That's a fool. That is a fool. Or you want to roll the window down partially and all that. Listen, if you're not doing anything wrong, get out of the situation. If just all you have to do, get his badge number or get the name on his badge and deal with it later. If not, you're not going to be alive to tell us what happened. Do not give them a hard time. I'm telling you, fight it in court. You can't fight it if you're dead. All of that attitude, you better leave that on the basketball court. When you encounter a police officer, you better just pay attention, do what you need to do, or you may not make it home that night. It's not worth it. And all they're gonna do is, and then even if they arrest you and then they let you go, you sat in jail all night, you went through all of this trouble, all of this pain and suffering, and then they say, okay, we'll drop the charges. Are you gonna be happy? Because they did you a favor by dropping the charges? Don't get yourself caught up in that kind of situation. Daughter's the same thing. You're gonna be a tough guy, you're gonna be a tough dead guy. All right now, I hope you're listening. All you new drivers, smelling yourselves now. Okay. All right, so did y'all hear about this one? I'm gonna save this last one, this woman, inspired woman for last. I want to talk about the security guard. Okay, so I forgot where this was. What did I give you on that? I just gave you an article?
No, it was a video, but I didn't get a video on YouTube. But CNN have it on another news reel. That's okay?
Yeah, let's just find it. I want them to see it. If you have a video, because I think I might just have it right.
At first, Anderson. At first, Anderson said he asked the student to stop calling him that without saying the word. But the student continued to call him different variations of the word. Finally, Anderson said he responded, "Don't call me N-word." That's the comment that got him fired, a zero tolerance policy. When contacted for comment, the school did not respond directly to Anderson's firing, but said it has a zero tolerance policy for the use of racial slurs. "We are working to make our school climates the best they can be for all students and staff," said Gloria Reyes, president of the Madison Board of Education, in a statement. "We've taken a tough stance on race."
Let me, you're not gonna understand that if you didn't know what happened. Okay, so this is what happened.
He's a security guard in a high school, right? They had an unruly student that they were removing from the classroom. So while they're trying to remove this student, the student kept calling him the N-word. And he kept saying, "Please stop calling me that word. Please stop calling me that word." The kid just kept calling him different variations of the N-word. I don't know what that meant, but he kept calling him. He said, "Can you please stop using that word?" So finally, after he'd had enough, he said, "Will you please stop calling me the N-word?" He used the word. So they fired him because he used the word. Does that make sense?
Fired him.
It's only in America, bro.
He lost his job.
I almost lost my job.
He lost his job.
Huh?
Because he was trying to protect.
The student got suspended,
Because
of course, but it ain't even about the student no more. They was being ejected at the time. I almost lost my job. I'll never forget. It was my first job out of college. And I don't know if I tell you this story.
We're listening.
Just got out of college and I had this job. I was the manager of a retail store. And one of my assistants, we used to work from 10 to 10, so we had different shifts. So he had to open up the store that morning. In our company, if you didn't turn off the alarm system by a certain time, they knew that you weren't in the store, and then there was going to be a big problem. So this guy's name was Chris Kuhn, I'll never forget. Tall white boy, blonde hair. And he was supposed to open the store that night. So I get a phone call, or either when I got, he must have called me or something. But in order to open up the store on time, he forgot his keys. He left his keys home, so he couldn't get in the store. So he went up on the roof and broke in to the store. He went on the roof, broke in the store so he could turn the alarm off. Now we got all kinds of problems. So fortunately, my DM, my district manager, and I were good friends, because if not, I would have probably lost my job. So anyway, when I got to work, I had him in the office, and I was just so annoyed with him because he caused so many problems. And I said, man, if you had a brain, you'd be dangerous or something like that. I was mad. He said, and all I saw was stars. I punched him so hard. I mean, I punched him so hard. He fell against the glass, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna get fired. He said that word to me, and I'm telling you, I reacted so fast it was too late. I'm just glad I didn't punch him in the face, because then at least they couldn't see what I did to him.
Take his punch.
I thought I was going to get fired. And I called my DM up. I said, listen, this is what happened. This is what he said. This is what I did. I knew it was going to get back to, to home office. And I didn't get fired. I guess they said, yeah. And I was the only black manager in the company at that time. I was their first black manager.
They couldn't get rid of you.
And that was in 1978, 79. Can you imagine?
Wow.
I was their first black manager. I caught hell. they treated me like I was the N-word. Y'all don't know. I share that just so you know just how angry you could get when back, you know, come on. Yeah, man. You know that you gotta really be careful how you control yourself. I learned a lot from that. All right, moving right along. Now y'all just heard a story I've never told before.
Don't hit him in the face.
Yeah, and don't call me the N-word.
Unless you're an arm's length.
Don't call me the N-word. Okay, we're gonna end out. And I really had some history, but y'all don't care about history, right? Y'all really need to know the history. But I'm gonna give y'all this last thing, and we might give a couple of history. Y'all wanna stay a little later tonight? Hold on a second. Y'all gotta wait to eat. You can't eat until the food is hot. All right. That's enough noise from the peanut gallery. Let's move on. Okay. So now I want to do this last one because I want all of us who are late bloomers. What do I mean by late bloomers? You don't figure out what it is you want to do with your life while you're young. You waste a lot of time, or you just don't feel motivated. I want you to see this story. Listen to this story. And she reminds me.
Shavaya, come and sit here.
Just gonna throw that out.
How you doing this morning, young man? That's good.
We all know you can learn a lot from a school principal.
I will be successful.
But Assistant Principal Pamela Talbert in Baton Rouge, Louisiana may be teaching the ultimate lesson by being here at all.
She's a walking miracle and an inspiration to everybody.
Her career path started as a janitor. When a teacher noticed how much she loved kids and suggested she go into education, she decided she would try. But there was a big obstacle in her way.
I was reading on a 3rd grade level.
So she had her own children help her.
They would go to school and they would come back and they would teach me everything that they learned that day.
First, she became a bus driver, then got her master's, and eventually worked her way up to assistant principal.
I said, I can do this. I know I can do this.
It's a lesson she now instills every day.
So when somebody dropped the ball on me, and I don't want that to happen to the children that I serve every day.
An assistant principal who never gives up on her students.
Anything is possible if the sky's the limit.
Because she never gave up on herself.
You gonna have an awesome day today?
Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News.
I love sharing these stories with you all. Kenya, I hope you don't be offended. You're not offended. She just reminds me of you, the top of the head and the eyes or something. No, the eyes remind me of Kenya. She did. But the story was so inspirational. I mean, it really makes you realize just how powerful ambition is. Quiet, please. Just how powerful ambition is. Because without ambition, she would have continued to be cleaning toilets.
Yeah.
But ambition made her do some things that she didn't even know she could do. And it reminded me of my father, who had a 2nd grade education. And we would come home, and I remember we had these little books, you know how the kids have the books with them, and we taught him to read, and we taught him math. Am I lying? We taught our father at home how to do these things, and he was, by the time he retired from construction, he knew enough to go out and run a business. The family started a business, and he ran that business, and he knew how to add and subtract. He kept the books and started a business for our family. Amy Rashona was one of the first employees in that business. She was a young, she might have had Tybell, and that's it. I think she was married. If she was married to Komika, she did, yeah, because they were married at that point. She might have been pregnant when that child was. I'm just telling you the story so that you can understand. It hits home.
Right.
It hits home, and I'm hoping that it will inspire our youth to just not give up. Just want to be something, and don't let anything stop you from accomplishing your goals. Distractions are going to come because distractions are tests to see just how badly you want it. And so you have to avoid the distractions, and you have to stay focused and keep your eye where? On the prize. Can I take your hand?
It's not quite there yet. I didn't go over yet.
I wanted to just share this because this is so appropriate to this segment. There's information out there that most often our families don't know about. I learned something this week from a speech pathologist I work with. There is a program called Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And I'm going to mention it, kind of try to remember to mention it every week because I want for parents to go onto the site. You can sign up, it's free. I did it just to see, even though I don't really qualify because I don't have children that young. But children from birth to 5 will receive a book every month for free from Dolly Parton's library, and they serve Charlotte. You go in, and as many children as you have, and it's developmentally appropriate for that age, and they will receive it until they're 5, a free book. So just working with children for all these years, a lot of our problems is we don't have literature in our
Right.
and not we're underexposed to so much stuff. So reading is so fundamental. And this is a free program. You just it took me all of 2 minutes, and the books will come in the child's name. And they'll get one every month until they're 5. So I'm encouraging the fathers that are here, mothers that are here, if you even know someone, to share this information. And I'll try to remember to share it. And I'll ask maybe Shakira to put it on the website so it'll get more people.
Please try to remember that. That's great information.
So you have a hand in the back.
I'll take your hand, Moray.
For that information, but I signed Amina also for Amina and
One of those kids.
for JPL, Jewish Public Library. She gets one every month.
Yeah, that's it. JPL.
And it's all Hebraic-based books.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So it's kind of.
Can we have this stuff announced every week? Come on now. The babies are not stopping, they're always coming. I mean, yeah, somebody's gonna need that information.
Keep quiet.
Oh man. I had some history I'm gonna cover hopefully on my next segment that I might have an opportunity. I'm a substitute teacher today. But so I just kind of, I learn to save information as it comes to me so that we'll have it, because I think that the videos, are you enjoying the videos? You're learning things from the videos? I think they're very, very helpful. And so we're about progress around here. We're about making sure that not only do you get the lessons from the Creator and the Torah and the things that we need to know, but the lessons that will help you in life. That when you leave here, you got to learn something new that will inspire you, that will help you, that will encourage you, and that will support you and the things that you're trying to do and what you're trying to do with your family. So may Yah continue to give us the knowledge and all of you to share your knowledge, that we all might be able to benefit and overcome. If you know what I'm saying, to overcome all the obstacles and whatnot. We have a video that I don't know how we're going to do it. It's a video called Hidden Colors that Moray has suggested. I haven't seen it yet.
It's like 4 parts.
It's 4 parts, so we can divide it up, because I know it's 149 minutes is why I said I didn't think we could see it. So we'd have to do it in parts, the 4 parts.
No, I mean it's four series. I think it's the 5th one out by now.
What, 149 minutes each?
About 2 hours.
Wow, that's gonna be difficult in the summer, but we'll maybe take, during the winter I mean, but I don't wanna wait, so we're gonna figure out how we can get those in, even if we have a movie night. We can do it like that, but we gotta figure it out, I'll talk to you, and, cause we want you all to see that, and we want to, again, continue to move forward with these great things that we're doing. So may God bless all of you. We got 3 more minutes that can sing a song or something. And we'll have a nice weekend plan for you again. So HaBerakhah, your time and attention. Shabbat shalom. Everybody can stretch. Let us sing before you.
We have like 5 now. Yeah. Powerful. When you watch it like
Holiday vacation, we can't do the 76 song.
I got a video somewhere on something. Yeah. They had a
down at this time is on page 11. That's the rule, as well as on the screen. Sacrifices and meal offerings are not found in our hands. Father of mercy, at thy law standeth firm. Accept the words of our lips and the murmurs of our hearts. Receive our prayers in mercy and favor. Grant us joy and gladness. Comfort thy people. Your whole answer thee in the day of trouble. The name of the power of Israel set thee up upon high. Draw us not away, Yah, with the wicked, for our delight is in thy word. Let thy word heal us and cause us to prosper. Cause thy wisdom to blanket Israel. Let the visions of the righteous be our lot. Yea, even the dreams of thy redeemed, our good fortune. Draw us with cords of love, and let our borders be truth. Into thy hand I commit my spirit. All praises unto thee, O Yah. We have followed thy loving kindness. We rejoice in the house of Yah. Come, behold the works of Yah, and rejoice and sing. For he has rescued his people Israel. He has called forth the dispersed of Yaakov. He caused his righteousness to stand where calamity was. For such is our power forever and ever. He will be our God henceforth eternally. Sing his praises aloud. Amen.
Let us sing the Shema on page 3. Hear, O Israel, Yah is our divine power, and Yah is one. Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, Hallelujah. 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 Shema Yisrael, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Echad. ואהבת את יהוה אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה שאנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם. ושבתך בביתך ובדרכך בדרך ובחוקמך. וכשרת מניות עליך, והיו לפוטרופות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Oh yeah, we are listening, your people Israel. You are our Elohim, our divine power, our God, and you are one. And we will love you with all of our heart, all of our soul, with all of our might and effort. We will share this love of you with our children, teaching them diligently. As you said in the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, when we sit at home this week, when we go on the road, when we get up in the morning, when we lie down, about you, O God. We will take the words that we've had and we will decorate our homes with Hebrew. We will even write them, set them as signs and jewelry on our hands and arms and even between our eyes. They will be on our heart, O God. And even, O Yah, we give you thanks that you are the one that brought our forefathers out of Egypt, out of the slave house. We give you thanks, O Yah, that you said that we should not have anyone before you. We even understand that we will raise up your name, Yahuwah, with purity and with truth, never taking your name in vain this week. We even say that we would remember the Shabbat, counting towards Shabbat, preparing before Shabbat all of the work that needs to be done, making on Shabbat the food that would last 2 days, O Yah, and all of the things that show honor to your sacred time. We will also celebrate the festival of Shemini Atzeret, the 8th day of a solemn assembly, at the going down of the sun tomorrow night, remembering the annual Sabbaths and holy days, O Yah. We will also make sure that we honor our fathers and our mothers and our elders and our leadership. and that we will see our children also grow up to rise and honor us by our honorable example and how we treat and love our neighbor as we love ourselves. We will not steal. We will not murder. We will not take lightly the murder of anyone else. We will stand up for justice. We will not commit adultery or fornication. We will also not bear false witness. We will speak the truth, even when it makes us seemingly suffer temporarily, because we know that takes moral courage to do what is right and say the truth, even if it meant that we were wrong. We will not covet what our neighbors have. We will not lust for other women. We will also make sure that we do not lust for other people's property. We will stand in truth, and we will hopefully come before you as better servants next Shabbat and next holy day than we were today. Blessed be your name now and forevermore, as we say our Hebrew prayer. Baruch Yehovah Baboker, Baruch Yehovah Besohoraim, Baruch Yehovah Be'erev, Baruch Yehovah Be'layla, Baruch Yehovah Yom Yom, Baruch Yehovah Tamid, Yehovah Eloheinu Baruch Hashem, Lisloach Manu Lechol Devarim Ra'im She'asinu Lefanecha Yom Yom, Ve'yot Manu Kol Halayla Hazeh, Le'ma'an Shemcha Yehovah, Elohei Avraham, Yitzchak ve'Yisrael, Elohei Avoteinu Eli, Lishmoa b'kol inam, Kim Teseh Otah, Le'ma'an Shemcha Yehovah. And we said, blessed be Yah in the morning, blessed be Yah in the afternoon, blessed be Yah in the evening, and blessed be Yah at night. Blessed be Yah every day, and blessed be Yah always. Yah our God, please forgive us for all evil things we have done, and be with us all this night for thy name's sake. Yah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, God of our fathers, and my God, hearken unto my voice, I pray thee, if it pleaseth thee for thy name's sake. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Let us start closing out the service with the Shema. O Shema Yisrael, Yahovah Eloheinu, Yahovah Eloheinu, Yahovah Eloheinu, O Shema Yisrael, Yahovah Eloheinu, Eloheinu, Yahovah Echad. Hallelujah. We look now unto the Holy One of Israel, asking that he would bestow upon us a blessing for his great name's sake. I have not the power to bless you. Only the Creator himself can do that, and I pray that none of us will fall short of receiving a blessing from the Almighty. May he bless us as we continue even in this Chag, this season, this Moed of Chag Sukkot. May he bless us to even see the day of Shmini Atzeret, that we would come and have a service and hold a service before him. May he bless us as we go to our homes. May we find our homes in perfect peace. And may we find even the family members that we left behind in perfect peace is my prayer. As I would say the words of the blessing found in Numbers, the 6th chapter, and the 24th verse. May Yah truly bless us. Hallelujah. Yivarekhah Yehovah wa yishmarecha. Ya'ir Yehovah panayo alecha vechunecha. Yisa Yehovah panayo elecha wa yasem lecha shalom. Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. Yehovah cause his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee, and may he give thee peace. Hallelujah. The 150th Psalm. It is a call and answer. Hallelujah. 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 Y'all kind. Y'all kind. Y'all kind. Brothers and sisters, please just be seated for a few more moments as we get into our secular activities. Motzai Shabbat Shalom Lepim. Motzai Shabbat Shalom means after Sabbath greetings to you all, as we're now into a secular day now, so we can commence with any business, anything that has to do with any secular